Okay, gewaltig. This morning, Shir is brought to you by the New York State Thruway Authority, right on the Thruway, just east of Rochester. Okay, let's get started. I actually forgot 2 days ago, I said over a piece of Amaratzis on the Gemara, and I have to correct it. The Gemara was discussing a case that the Gemara quoted from a Brisa, that if there's a goy in a window between two homes, and there's a mace in one of the two homes, the goy will be choitzitz. The goy is like filling in the window, and now it's diminished the minimum shear that the window needs to be to allow tumah to pass through it. So the Gemara asked, why would the goy be bolted to the windowsill? Why wouldn't he just walk away? So the Gemara answered, because he was tied down. So the Gemara says, but what a big deal if he was tied down? His friend would come and untie him. So the Gemara answered, because he was a Mitzayir. And I was totally lost, because how could a goy be a Mitzayir? And this can't be speaking about a Yid. But Pshat is very simple. It's not talking about a halachic Mitzayir. He was a leper. Nobody wants to get near a leper. Nobody wants to be near a leper. They stay away from him. So nobody would want to touch him. And that's why the Gemara said his friend wouldn't untie him. Then the Gemara ended up saying, what if his friend is a leper who's not afraid of coming into contact with him? What if he would untie him? So the Gemara ended up saying that the guy was there permanently because the Malchus sentenced him to be restrained over there. So I just wanted to correct that shtickle amaratzis. So yesterday we ended off with a Gemara telling us that when it comes to teachers, you're allowed to bring in the best teachers, and if you find one teacher that's better than the other, you can dismiss one teacher and you can allow the other teacher to take over, because kinas soifrim tar b'chach. We want that competition by teachers, and this will bring us the best and the most skilled teachers. Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, who used to be the Rav of Yerushalayim, he once wrote that there's many different midos that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into the world, like gaiva, like sinah, like all of these midos have a purpose. Gaiva you need for vayigva libay b'darkei Hashem. You never do the right thing. Positive from it, and that is kina. Kina is zero positive, and he even said in our Gemara, kina soifim tar b'chachma. That doesn't mean that we're recommending it. Kina is not a good thing. The fact of the matter is, kina will be mar b'chachma, but that doesn't mean it's recommended. Kina is very bad. So Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld said about himself, I only had kina twice in my life, and these are the two kinnas that I had. I have a kinna. I'm jealous of the father of the Beis Yosef, the Shulchan Aruch. To think that someone should have a child that literally gave guidelines to Klal Yisrael how to make every move every day of their lives. They wrote the Shulchan Aruch. You might have your son to write the Shulchan Aruch that dictates to all of Klal Yisrael every moment of their life what the right thing to do is. That's something that I have kina about. And the second kina that I have, Chaim Sonnenfeld, is I have kina of the Shagas Aryeh. When the Shagas Aryeh was on his deathbed, all he wanted to do was learn Torah. So he asked his Talmidim, could you give me a sefer? And they gave him a vidui booklet, because they knew his time was near, and you're supposed to say vidui. And when they gave the vidui to the Shagas Aryeh said, I was so busy my whole life doing mitzvahs, I never had a chance to do an Aveira. So I have nothing to say vidui for, because I didn't do Aveiras. So Zakev Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, I'm jealous of those two people. Now I think about the Shagasaya. The Shagasaya said I'm too busy to do affairs. Frankly, me, Yossi Simon, I'm also too busy to do affairs. But I make time. So therefore I don't have that problem. I make time to do affairs. So I guess I'll never be able to say what the Shagasaya said. Halavaya should be on the Madrega of a Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld that I should be jealous of that. Okay. So we're right at the top of the Chabez of Malarav. Amar Rav Nachman by Yitzchak. Moide Rav Huna Bered Rav Yeshua. Even though Rav Huna Bered Rav Yeshua has taught us that someone who has a business in a mavui, culture in a city, can object to somebody else opening up a similar business, nevertheless, Rav Huna's Moide Beroichlin Hamachzirin Bayaris. If you're talking about the peddlers that used to sell beauty aids, perfumes, and makeup that would go up and down the streets peddling their wares, even if a peddler comes from another jurisdiction, the local merchants, the local cosmetics merchants cannot protest. Mar, because Mar said, Ezra Tika and Lahenli Yisrael. Ezra Sofer was Masaka for Klal Yisrael. She Roichlin Machzirin Bayores. Why is that? Why do we want so many vendors that sell cosmetics and beauty aids? Kadesh Yehud Hashitin Tsuyin Levnois Yisrael. So Benois Yisrael should have plenty of beauty aids, but they should always be able to make themselves beautiful for their husbands. Zok to Gemara, even though we're allowing peddlers of cosmetics from other jurisdictions to come here, even though we have local merchants, haduri. That's only that they're allowed to go around the streets and peddle. To set up a permanent store that if this peddler, the peddler Dafka Cosmetics, if the peddler is a Tzur Merabonon, then Afilu Lakvuye Nami, we will also allow the Talmud Chacham to open up a permanent store, even though he's infringing on someone else's jurisdiction. Why is that? Ki Adarava Shara Lahu Rabbi Yoshia Rav Avadia to Tzur Merabonon, he allowed them Lakvuye to set up shop, even though technically it's the like Hilchasa, rather it's the Fnimishers Adin to assist the Tzur Merabana. My timer, why do we do that? Kivan the Rabbanan Ninu. Since Rabbi Yoshia and Rabbi Avadia or Rabbanan, therefore also Litradu Migersai. If they're going to have to take them away from their learning. We know that Talmidei Chachamim travel from place to place to learn, so they have to be able to be mafrenis themselves, even in jurisdictions that are not home base. And therefore, we're mater Talmidei Chachamim, and not only that, even to set up a permanent shop, but that's only by cosmetics. Where anyway a regular peddler would be able to peddle his wares in any city and we wouldn't stop. This is a very special Gemara to me because this saved my life once. Because when I was in Lakewood, it wasn't like today. The stores there were much simpler and they didn't have the latest fads of everything in Lakewood in those days. And we had a business, my brother and I, where there were a lot of vendors in Brooklyn who had very high-end clothing, whether it was women's clothing or children's clothing. At the end of the season, they would put it on sale. But when you're in a Jewish jurisdiction, everybody waits for the sale. So they would never be able to sell for full price. So we offered to them is instead of you ever putting your merchandise on sale in Brooklyn, how about at the end of the season, we'll come we'll pick up all of the leftover goods that you have and we'll bring them to Lakewood and we'll make a blowout sale in Lakewood. And we accomplish two things. First of all, you don't have to lower your prices in Brooklyn, so nobody will wait for sales. And Lakewood, who doesn't have access to such product at such prices, it gives Lakewood people an opportunity to have these things. So this was a very good business. I remember back then we were making about $20,000 a year for a side business for clothing demand. That was very helpful. But what happened is there were local owners who were not we see from our Gemara, the Yad Ramah speaks out that it's not only cosmetics. Whenever you're looking at a question of a Sagas Kabul, and of course the local vendors were very upset with us because people wanted to buy what we had to sell. It was a much better deal, it was a much better product rather than the local vendors. So they claimed that we were doing the wrong thing. But the Yad Ramah speaks out on our sugya that whenever you look into such a thing, you have to not only look at whether or not the local vendors are being harmed unduly, you have to look at the rest of the population of the city. Maybe they're being harmed unduly if you hold back from them such a great opportunity. So the only time we considered Hasagas Gvul, if you're selling the same product for the same price and you're not there, so you're siphoning off their customer base. But if you're bringing either higher grade products that you're going to sell for the same price, or the same grade products that you're going to sell for a lower price, and in my case, it was higher grade products that we were selling for a lower price. So it was a win-win. You're supposed to look at the benefit of the couple of vendors who might be hurting. Maybe you're supposed to look at the benefit of the tzibur to have access to good product. So when we were summoned to Bezdin, we presented this. But I still remember when we went to meet, we never had a proper Torah, but we were called to have a meeting with the dying. So I remember this is such a funny statement to say, considering how Lakewood is today. So we walked into the Dayan's house, and they said, "Who said it's a good idea to bring in such luxuries into Lakewood?" So today, people would laugh hearing that because Lakewood is the epicenter of the luxuries. But back then, it wasn't like that. So my response to the Dayan was, "I'm here for a Choshev Mishpat Shaila, not for a Shkofa Shaila. For that, I have my Rebbeim to ask." So he apologized. And of course, we were allowed to do it. The end of the story got messy anyway, but that's all for now. So we learned that Rava allowed. Rasha dikuloi are moichrei salim, v'yeshayim moichrei yoyer. So they either sold baskets or pots. The Isu dikuloi lebavel. They brought their pots, their wares to Bavel, and that was not their home turf. Also, b'nei Masa. So the city came. I guess the local vendors came. Get out of our city. You're siphoning away our customers. So this Shaila came to Ravina. Also, look at to Ravina. Amalu, they told Ravina, Alma also, Ravina Paskin, they are coming from the rest of the world, they're not from the city. But you know what? We have a big city here. We're not only are there locals here, we have a Yom HaShuk, and people come from far and wide to buy and to sell. So therefore, the Amal Izvenu, they're not taking away your local customers because there's so many customers here that aren't local. So they're allowed to sell. However, that's only on the Yom HaShuk, where in fact there are customers that are coming from far and wide. Where they're directly siphoning off your customer base, then we wouldn't allow them. Even in the Yom HaShuk, we don't allow it. They're only allowed to sell in the shuk, which is the place where all the out-of-towners come to buy. Door to door, you wouldn't allow them. Hanu Amirum. They were Amurom, the icy. So Amir Rashi says are moichrei tzemer. They sell wool. So they brought wool, lefum nahara. They brought it to the edge of the river. Maybe they brought it by boat, but they were coming to sell into a market that was not their market. Also, so once again, defenders of the city said, "Get out of here! Don't destroy our market." Also, the Rav Kahana, they came to Rav Kahana, and Rav Kahana said, "Amalu dinu the ma'akvi alaychum." They could stop you. So he told these foreign vendors, with all due respect, you got to turn around. You can't sell your wares over here. So they told him 1 minute. Amrlei Islan Ashroi. There are people in this city who owe us money. We extended the credit, they owe us money, and we're trying to collect on that money. It's going to take us some time to make those collections. How do you expect us to feed ourselves? How do you expect us to survive in the week or two that we need to be here to collect the money that's owing to us? So therefore, Amalu, he told him, Silu Zavnu Shir Chiyusai. I'll let you sell product, but not to make it big, just to be able to earn enough money to sustain yourselves. Ad Krisu Ashroi Ditchu, until you uproot the loans. In other words, until the loans are paid back, and then Vaslisui, and then I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Now we have a very, very fascinating story. Rav Dimi Minaharda, clearly a Tzurva Merabana. I see Groi Groi Spesvina. He brought pressed figs by boat to this market that was not his market. Amar le Reish Kalusa Rava. So the Reish Kalusa told Rava, Puk Chazi Yitzurva Merabana. They didn't know who Rav Dimi was. Go figure out if he's a Tzurva Merabana. And if he is, then of course we'll let him sell in our market. But if not, we got to get rid of him. So he told Rava, go look to see Tzurva Merabana. Knock it like Shuka. And if he is a Tzurva Merabana, we're going to let him corner the market. What we do is we tell everybody, today, no one's allowed to sell Groigers, only Rav Dimi. This way, Rav Dimi will be able to sell out and get a good price for his product, but that's only if it's a Tzurva Merabana. So Rava subcontracted the responsibility given to him by the Reish Kalusa. Amalei Rava Rav Ada Bar Abba, Rava told Rav Abba, Puk Tahayla Bekankani, knock him on his pot. In other words, test him out to see if he's taka a big Talmud Chacham or not. So Navak Ozal Boimine, he asked the following Shaila to Reb Dimi, which is actually a Shaila in Tahiris. And this was the Shaila he asked. It sounds like an absurd Shaila, but this is a real Shaila. Pil Shabola Kafifa Mitzvah. We know a basket is Tame. It's made out of reeds, it's Makabal Tuma. But we also know that a basket or any keli that's made out of galolim, that's made out of galoli behema, the psosim behema, is not going to be Tame. So you have a pill that's an elephant that swallowed a basket, and then it came out the other end. It went through the entire manufacturing process. So now it's considered rei because it came out of the animal. Now, does that retain its status as a basket and still makabel tuma, or is it now considered to be feces of an animal, and therefore it's not makabel tuma? Now that was a shayla to hire something that wasn't so relevant in those days. So he said, "Lahaba b'yodei." Rav Dimi, in fact, was not able to answer that question. Then Rav Dimi, when he was approached by Rav Adabar Abba, who was a Talmud of Rava, he didn't know who he was talking to. So he asked this stranger, "Are you the famous Rava?" Amrle Mar Niu Rava? Are you the famous Rava? And Tapale Besandale, he banged him on his foot, which was a little bit of a disrespectful thing to do. Amrle, so Rav Adabar Abba answered, Bein Didila Rava, Ikatuva. There's a lot of space between me and Rava. In other words, Rava is much greater than I am. Miyu al korchach hamarabach, but I still know more than you. I knew the Shaila, you don't know the answer to the Shaila. For Rava, a Rabba the Rabba. And Rava is your Rebbe's Rebbe, meaning my Rebbe. So Vibaldi wasn't able to answer the question. He couldn't verify himself as a Tuva Merabanan. Loy Nakat Leishuk. They didn't allow him to corner the market. They didn't give him the right to sell in the shuk and to prevent any competitor from selling there as well. So what happened? Tossid Greg Royce day. Naturally, he came with a whole shipment of figs, and they went bad. He lost a lot of money. So he was very upset, Rav Dimi. So also look, I made Rabbi Yosef. He came to Rabbi Yosef, and Amalei told him, Chazimai, look, Rebbe, my Abdulli, look what they did to me. They ruined me. Amalei, and he told them, Mandaloi Shoi, Lunisa, the Malka, the Edaim, Loi Nishaya, Loi Nisei. So Rav Dimi said a shtickle klola, whoever did it.
Yes.
The Rebbeinu Shloilo, who did not hold back the punishment from the Melech of Edom, shouldn't hold back the punishment from the person who caused me this problem. Rashi says, Lo nisa, nos bushosai. That was a Malchad Edom, but the same Rebbeinu Shloilo should not have Rachmanis, should not hold back the punishment on the person who hurt me. The Chsev Koyamar Hashem al Shloisha Pishei Moyav Val Arba Lo Yashivenu. On the fourth I can't be Moichelim, which is that al Sarfu Atzmoi Shmelach Edom. No sit. They burned the bones of Melech Edom, and for that Rebbeinu was not Moichel, which actually opens up a whole shaila. Avada Yid is not allowed to cremate, but there's a shaila. We know that a person is taken from the earth, he has to go back to the earth. Technically, even the goy is not allowed to do cremation. So the shaila is, what if a yid is asked to do cremation for a goy? Is a yid allowed to do cremation on the goy's body? That's a whole shaila for it. But anyway, you know what happened after Rav Dimi sort of suggested that Hashem should punish the person who hurt him? Noch nafshe Rav Ada Barava. Rav Ada Barava, who did the examination of Rav Dimi and declared him as a non-servant Merabanan, he died. Now, if someone dies because of you, that's not a very good thing. Tosfos says, Kol mi shechaveiroi nenesh al yadoi ein machnisin oisoi b'mechitzas l'shol HaKadosh Baruch. Whatever that means, they'll never be brought into the inner circle. So there's a whole bunch of people here that were afraid that they're responsible for the death of Rav Ada Barava, and they feel bad. So first, Rabbi Yosef, he was involved a little bit in the story. Rabbi Yosef, I'm the one. Yes.
Rabbi Yosef was the one that cursed him. Not Rabbi.
Sorry?
Rabbi Yosef was the one that cursed him.
Oh, so it wasn't Rabbi Dimi talking, it was Rabbi Yosef talking.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shkoich for correcting me. So Rabbi Yosef said, Ana Anishte, I'm the one who was the cause for the death of Bava. Dana Lachase, because I cursed him, as Moti just said. Rav Dimi min Arda Amar, Rav Dimi said, Ana Anishte, I'm the one who caused the death of Bava Brava. The absolute Gregorius Tidi. It was my Gregorius that got ruined. It's my situation that led to the death of Bava Brava. Abaya Amar, Ana Anishte, I'm the one who caused his death. Adimagramisu Garmi Be Abaye Su Achlu Bisra Shmena Be Rava. People used to, why would you go if there's a Talmud that was going to come to learn by Abaye? People would tell them, why would you go learn by Abaye, who's a lightweight? You want to learn good Torah? Why don't you learn Torah by Rava, which is like feta meat? We know that the halacha is always like Rava, except by Al Kagam. Go learn by Rava. So that's why Abaye felt it was his fault, because I guess since people would send Talmidim away, or Abaye used to say, Abaye used to tell Talmidim, why would you go to Abaye? I'm sorry, the Amalul Rabbanon, could be it was Rabbi Ada Barava. Rabbi Ada Barava would tell people, why are you going to learn by Abaye? Go learn by Rava. So it was maybe caused by Abaye. For Rava Amar Anonish, it's my fault. The Rav Ada bar Ava died. Is that the 290? The Chiyava Ozel Lebeitivcha Lemishkal Umta. When Rav Ada bar Ava would go to the butcher to buy meat, Amalul Tafli, he would tell the butcher, Anosha Kilna Bisra Mikame Shame de Rava. Serve me before you serve the Shamas of Rava. Dana Difnamine, because I'm better than him. So that could have been Akpad of Rava. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar, Anonishte. I'm the one who caused Rav Ada bar Ava to die. Now, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak wasn't part of this story, but he had a different story. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Reish Kalahava. He used to be the Rav that darshaned by the Kala, which would mean before Sukkot, before Pesach. He gave the big drasha. But Kol Yoima, I think Rashi says he was even speak every Shabbos. But Kol Yoima every day, Mekama the Nail Kala, before he finished his drasha, he would always marit ba'adei Rav Ada bar Ava l'shmaitze. First, he would chazer over the Torah that he had with Rav Ada bar Ava, v'hader ayil l'kala, and then he would say it over. I guess he wanted to have someone to share over to before he said it to the public. One day, Rav Ada bar Ava was on his way to discuss the shir with Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, and he encountered Naktur Rav Papa of Rav Huna Bered Rav Yeshua, Rav Ada bar Ava. Rav Ada bar Ava bumped into Rav Papa and Rav Huna Bered Rav Yeshua. And what happened? Mishum de lahava b'siyuma, because they were not. Rashi says either they missed the end of the drasha or they didn't learn chelik of the Masechta, but they had a shaila because they weren't familiar. Amrulay, they told Rav Ada bar Ava, Eim alon hani shmaitza de ma'isa be'ema. Teach us the hasugya of ma'isa be'ema. Hey, Chamrinu Rava, how Rava taught it. Amalu. So Rav Ada bar Ava said, Haki Amar Rava, Haki Amar Rava. Anyway, they got into a deep conversation. About what Rava said, which now delayed Rav Ada bar Ava from coming to help prepare the shir with Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Adahachi Nagalele Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. It was late, and Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak was waiting, and he didn't come. Amr le Rabban Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, come. The Nagalon, it's late. We got to do a shir. Loma Yathiv Mar. Why are you sitting here not coming to shir? Amr lehu. He told him, he's not here. He must go to a tzaddik that Rav died. The Noch Nafshe, the Rav Ada. In the meantime, the rumor got out that the fact Rav Ada died. Zok the Gemara, out of all these people who were concerned, maybe they're responsible for the death of Rav Ada bar Ava, Mustavered Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. It was probably Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, because he said, I believe that Rav Ada bar Ava died, since he's not coming to our Seder Kavua, where we prepare shir together. Zok the Mishnah, back to Bava Basra. Mi shahaya koisle samach lekoisel chaveri. Someone who had a wall that was near his friend's wall. Lo yismach lekoisel acher. Don't put up another wall, and the Gemara is going to explain exactly. This is a halacha we didn't learn yet, but the Mishnah we learned already earlier in the Masechta. Hachalonos, there are windows in your big wall, and it's going to be somewhere near a window that your neighbor has. Whether you're building a wall above the window or the window or even opposite the window, you stay away for Amos. And when we learned this, want someone to be able to either stand on the wall. If the wall is below, we don't want someone to be able to stand on the wall and peek in your window, because it creates has a kriya. If the window is above the wall We don't want someone to be able to lean on the wall and look in the window. And if it's opposite, so
It's like we lost him.
now, now, anybody hear me?
Barely.
Oh, I have a good internet connection where I am. Let me see if I can move my phone up. Is it a little better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay. I just took my phone, which is my access point. I put it higher up on the dashboard instead of underneath. Okay. So where did I lose you? Where did I fall
No,
off the wagon?
just a few seconds ago.
Okay, Gavaltic. So the Gemara asks a question. The Mishnah says if you had a koisel near your friend's wall, don't put up another wall there. Frank Gemara, the kama hechisam. How did you have the first wall? Right, we're talking about a second wall you shouldn't make close. Well, how did you make the first wall close? Amar Rav Yehuda Halchika Amar. This is what the Mishnah means to say. Now I'm going to turn on to Amud Beis. Habal lismoich. It means lachatchila. If your friend built a wall and you now want to build a wall, now we're going to assume it's parallel to his wall. Lo yismoich. You don't make it very close to his wall. Elo imkin hirchak mimenu arba amos. You have to leave 4 amos in between the wall that you're building and his wall.
Yes.
Yes.
So is the first wall allowed to be right up to the property line?
No, so what it's saying is there was no first wall. Your friend built a wall. You want to build a wall near his wall, you need to be
Yeah, but
4 amos
where
away.
did his friend build the wall?
His friend's wall might be right up to the property line.
So the first wall is what I'm saying. He's allowed to go right up the property line, then you lose, you gotta do it 4 amos back.
Well, that's a good question. I wonder if this will also be impacted by the sheet of Rava that we once had that tells us that even if Yen is not building a bar, you still have to maintain your distance.
Right.
So maybe that's a good point that you're bringing up. Maybe this would be relevant to that as well. That maybe he also has to move in a little bit. But that's a very good point you're bringing up, I think. Okay, so let's see what the Gemara says. Maskif lo rova. Vami shahaya kaisloi samuch lekaisel chaverikaton. How could you tell me that we're talking about the first wall that's being built and the Tana is telling us that you have to be 4 amos away? The Tana says very clearly that you have a wall that was right near your friend's wall. This is going to be pshat. If someone had a kaisel near his friend's kaisel, and it was built properly, meaning there was 4 amos between your kaisel and the kaisel of your neighbor, binafal, and your kaisel fell down, lo yismoich loy kaisel acher. When you rebuild the wall, you cannot rebuild the wall closer to your friend's wall. Elam can hear you have to maintain that same 4 amos of distance between your and your neighbor's parallel walls. Why? What is the purpose of these 4 amos? My timer, the davsha the hacha maili lahasam. And Rashi tells us that what it means is if there's 4 amos in between, then people will walk in between those walls. And there's tremendous benefit to people walking in between the walls because it compacts the soil. And therefore the soil will not settle because it's being compacted down. That'll create a much stronger foundation for the wall. So Rashi says, Mashadoshin Beregel, Ben Shnek Salim, Hamid, people are always walking there, Moyel the Shnek Shalom. It actually helps for the strength of both the walls. lahakshois karkis yisoidos haksalim layamutu. They won't settle. So it's very beneficial to the walls. That's why you need to leave 4 amis so that it'll be easy for people to walk in between those 2 walls. Amarav Zukrav loy shanu ela kaisel gina. The only time we say this halacha is if it's a kaisel of a gina. Why? Because a gina is something you're not going to walk on. So if the other side of your neighbor's wall has a gina, he's not going to get any dafsha on that side of the wall. There's no soil compacting on that side of the wall. He's going to be aerating his soil so it should grow well. So therefore, you need to compact the soil on your side of his wall. So you need to keep your wall 4 amis away. So your side of his wall will still get compacted. Of a kaisel chutzer, but if it's just a kaisel of his chutzer, you don't have to be worried about the dafsha. Let him walk on the other side of the wall, on the inside. In Balismech Saimech. Why? Because he could get his dafsha by walking along the inside of his wall. Rav Yosy Aimer, Echad Kaisel Gina, Echad Kaisel Chatzer, regardless, in Balismech, Einoi Saimech. You can't be Saimech. Zog to Gemara v'loi pligi. There's no machlokes over here about a kaisel of a chutzner if you have to leave 4 amis. Rather, haba ir yeshana, haba ir chadasha. It all depends on how old and how established the city is where this is all happening. As Rashi says, ir chadasha, it wasn't its soil had not yet been compacted. Shadayin lo nidusha. So therefore, av kaisel chatzor tzricha dafsha, then even a kaisel of a chatzor needs dafsha on both sides because the soil is loose. It needs to be compacted. But in an older city where the soil is already compacted, there it's enough that if only one side gets dafsha, it will be good enough. Zok to Gemara weiter. Zok to Gemara weiter. Tanan we learned. Hachaloinus. So now we're going towards the end of our mission. Hachaloinus. If you're going to be building a wall near your neighbor's window, bein milamailon, bein milamaton, bein mikenegdon arba amos. You need to leave 4 amas. But Tani Allah, when we learned milamailon on top, kedei shaloi yotzitz v'yira. So you shouldn't be able to climb up on the wall and look inside someone's property, because that will be hezek riyah. Milamaton, shaloi yamoid v'yira. So if the wall is higher than the window, we don't want to be able to lean down from the wall and look down inside. If it's right below the window, shaloi yamid v'yira, you shouldn't stand on the wall and look up into a window. If the wall is opposite the wall, it's shaloi yapil. You need to 4 amas away so it shouldn't darken the window. Zoktamar time is shaloi yapil. The whole problem with putting a wall too close to a window is because it eclipses the light from the window. Nowhere does our Brisa mention anything about Davsha. So why did the Brisa say the reason why your wall has to be 4 amas away from the window is not to block the light? If your theory of Davsha is true, so we could have just said because of Davsha, you got to stay away from the window. Because the window is part of the wall. And for the Gemara we're talking about a wall that's not parallel. You're right. If the wall that I want to build is parallel to the wall that my friend has, there I need the 4 amas because of Davsha. But what if the wall that I'm building is perpendicular to the wall that my friend built? That's where there's an issue of keeping it 4 amas away so it shouldn't darken the window. The Chama. And how much? Omar, Yevoy, Chamuya, the Ashon Bar Nidvach, Yeva, who was the father-in-law of Ashon Bar Nidvach, Mishmei de Rav, in the name of Rav, Kamolei Rochav Chaloin. So Zokt Rashi, the Kamo Kadesh Lo Yafil, the Tana de Brisa de Lo Yoiv Shua. Our Mishnah says 4 amas, but the Brisa doesn't say how much. It just says you got to stay away so that it shouldn't be mafil. How much is required? The Zok to Gemara, how much do you need? you need kamali rachaf chaloin, like the width of a window. Break the Gemara, Bali makes it. If it's close enough and you're not 4 amos away, he can still look. So Rashi, keeping the somachu, afabishu magbiyoi yachalatzit, he'll still be able to look inside. Zok the Gemara, we're talking about a wall that has a special design. Omer Abzvid, b'maderes koisloi. And Rashi says the top of the wall was not a flat surface that someone could stand on and peek in. The top of the wall was made with a slope, so you can't stand on the top of the wall; you'll slip right off. So he made the wall in such a way that someone cannot stand on top of it. Therefore, there's no concern that someone will lean on it and look inside his neighbor's window. So therefore, we're only concerned about shade. Frank Gemara, v'anan nan arba amos. Lamaisa, by us it says arba amos, and the Brisa seems not to require 4 amos. Kan meruach achas, kan mishtei ruches. Rashi says mishtei ruches shnei ksalim zeh keneged zeh mishnei tzilei chaloin. If there's not one perpendicular wall, but 2 perpendicular walls, then you need those 2 walls to be 4 amos away so that they shouldn't block out the sun from getting to the window. But if you only had 1 perpendicular wall, you don't need as much space. You only need kamali rachav chaloin because 1 wall won't cause so much shade to be cast on that window. Toshma. If you have a gutter at the edge of your roof that gathers all the rain from the roof and then rains it down, that if you have that, then you have to leave more space. Why? Because that gutter sometimes needs to be cleaned out. It sometimes needs to be repaired. So you need to be able to put a ladder up to it, and therefore you need to leave dalet amos so that you could put up a ladder up to the top of that roof and maintain the proper slope on the ladder so that it should be safe to climb that ladder. And that's why you need to leave 4 amos. It's mashma, it's only because of the sulam. So once again, why doesn't it say that you need to leave 4 amos? Because it's a wall, and anytime there's a wall, you need to allow people to walk through. You know what the case was? With your roof, like in our homes, most roofs overhang the wall of the house. So if you have a roof that overhangs the wall of the house, so anyway you can walk underneath there. We're saying you need 4 amos from the edge of the overhang, because that's where you're going to lean your ladder up against. But avada, you'll need davsha. But here we're saying you need more than the 4 amos of davsha, because you need 4 amos from the edge of the roof so that you could set up a ladder with a proper slope. The imishim davsha, if it's only because of davsha, also to say, you'll start counting those 4 amos from the wall of the house. Here, you need to put up a ladder to the edge of the roof. You start counting the dalet amos from the davsha. Okay, let's stop here, and Be'ez Hashem, we will be mamshech tomorrow. Everyone should have a wonderful day, and I will carry on my travels and through it. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. Mati?
Yeah.
Ja, ze deden sluiten.